What's going on, everyone? So I made a video earlier diving into two big lineups, and I really do think that the Lakers should be looking to experiment with two big lineups, right? You can go with DeAndre Ayton, especially with his ability to pick and pop, knock down the 15-foot range, maybe even potentially step out a little bit more to the three-point range. Not something I want him to take in volume, but it's kind of one of those things like, let's see kind of what he can do early on, and then if you need to make the adjustment and he just can't knock it down, then fine. Then at least stick to the 15 range. Jaxson Hayes has been working on his three-point shot, right? And, new video came out of him just getting reps up and all that stuff. But, and which if he can develop even a serviceable three-point shot, right? If he could just be like 33% from three-point range, right? Like that could be huge for the Lakers in just kind of, again, going with those multiple bigs. If you got Maxi Kleber, who can stretch the floor, he's known as a floor spacing big. If Jaxson Hayes can stretch a little bit, again, nothing crazy, just a little bit. And then if DeAndre Ayton can stretch the floor a little bit, that could open up, different lineup configurations and possibilities as far as two bigs go. But the big thing, right? And I think the key to kind of maximizing two big lineups is with Maxi Kleber, right? Because Maxi Kleber's ability to stretch the floor and slot in at the 4 or the 5 spot and shoot the 3 ball, I do think is kind of the key where you can slot him alongside a DeAndre Ayton. Right, you can slot him alongside a Jaxson Hayes, plug him in the weak side corner, so where he can be a drive and kick guy and just knock down the 3 ball, top of the key where you can draw out the big man. Right, I'm sure there's going to be moments in games where he's slotted in at the 5, but I also think he could play a lot at the 4. And yes, the Lakers, they have like Rui Hachimura. Obviously, LeBron James is starting, but Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt can slot in at the 4. Jake LaRavia, Adu Thero. We'll see how many minutes and how ready he is right out the gate for the Lakers, even just on the defensive side of things. So you have guys, 6'8" or so that can slot in and play the 4 spot. But I also like the idea of having Maxi Kleber who can slot in at the 4, give you a little more size, give you a little more ability. But also, if you've seen the new kind of transformation from his workout stuff, he's put on some muscle. He's looking slim. He's looking strong, right? He's going through the Luka transformation. You're seeing the confidence. You're seeing him working on the things that we need to see him work on and the abilities that he could potentially have. Because, he's not like a lights out 3-point shooting big. He's not like a Karl Anthony Towns or anything like that. Where, I did a video on As It Stands Lakers about the Jaxson Hayes and him stretching the floor and stuff. And I used Maxi Kleber as an example, right? Because Maxi Kleber, like if Jaxson Hayes could just be what Maxi Kleber is, which is 35% on 3.1 attempts, 35.4% for his career, right? He's had one season, and that was in 2020, 2021, where he shot 41% on 4.2 attempts. So again, he's a guy that has kind of been all over the place, and I'm hoping that he can kind of get back to not necessarily 40%, but can he be, 37%? That would be awesome, right? To give you just a little more efficiency. It's also going to depend on the volume and how many reps he can get, kind of get in a rhythm. Right? He's one of those guys you've seen where, he can kind of be hot and cold at times, but once he starts to see the ball go through the net, all of a sudden he can just rally them and light them up. So I'm hoping that Maxi Kleber, with kind of this new transformation, with this new, with his ability to slot it at the 4 or the 5, his ability to stretch the floor, that you can be really creative in the type of lineups and rotations that you have. I'm not saying you have to play Maxi Kleber at the 4, 38 minutes a night or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, to be able to match up, right? We talked about this, right? You want to be as chameleon-like as possible, right? So if you're playing a Warriors team, right, you can kind of go more small ball, but you still have a bunch of 6'8" guys, or even a team like OKC. It's one of the reasons why I've talked about the last few years. Lakers match up against OKC so well. I mean, Lakers should have ran through OKC twice, but the refs decided to eject Luka to save OKC that year because it was supposed to be their year, right? But it's because the Lakers are a big team. Even last year, they were a big team. The problem was they just weren't big at the center position because all they really had was Jaxson Hayes, right? But you look at this team outside of the center position, I mean, like, the smallest guy is like, Bronny James, but it's like Austin Reeves. Right? Like everyone else, it's like LeBron is 6'9", Luka Doncic is like 6'7". You got Adu Thero who's 6'8". You got Jake LaRavia who's 6'8". You got Jared Vanderbilt who's 6'7", 6'8", right? You got DeAndre Ayton, Jaxson Hayes, Maxi Kleber, right? Like this roster is a big roster. They have a lot of just big players that can all slot in and play multiple positions and do different things. But it's also nice for if you are playing OKC and they are going with Isaiah Hartenstein and they are going with a Chet Holmgren, you can go and kind of match that and have multiple bigs. Or you're playing a Minnesota, right? And they're going Naz Reid and a Rudy Gobert, right? You can go DeAndre Ayton and have a Maxi Kleber out there and just have that size and ability to defend and match up. Or, you're playing a Memphis, right? With Zach Edey and, a Triple J, right? Kind of have that slot and have that lineup, right? So again, if the more chameleon-like the Lakers can be, the more that they can kind of change and adapt based on the team and the matchup, right? I'm not saying you deploy two bigs every game, every team, it depends on the circumstances, unless the two big matchup is just that good. I mean, if you're slotting in Maxi Kleber and DeAndre Ayton and you're like a plus 12 when they're out there, you should probably play that a little more, right? Like, it should probably be something of importance, right? That's probably something that you should be playing regularly. So again, it kind of depends on, the opponents, the matchups, the teams, so on and so forth. But if you can put yourself in a position to where you can have that, and I do think Maxi Kleber is key. Now, this doesn't mean that, I think Maxi Kleber is untouchable or anything like that. If the right trade or the right move or something comes along, yeah, you still gonna make that move, you still gonna make that trade or whatnot, but it gives the Lakers the ability to, at least early on, assuming that, no trades or anything happen between now and the trade deadline, at least early on, you can kind of experiment, especially early on, right? Like your first 20 games or so, obviously you want to win as many of those as possible, especially in the Western Conference, but it's okay to kind of experiment a little and kind of see, okay, what about this? What about that? Right? Let's see what Hayes and Ayton look like. Let's see what Kleber and Hayes look like. Let's look what Kleber and Ayton look like, right? Kind of have those different looks and perspective lineups that you can kind of gain data from, because you never know when you're in a position to where you might need to deploy that, or, you get to the playoffs and like I said, you're playing Minnesota again. And it's like, okay, well, let's throw Ayton and Kleber were so good for us during the regular season, right? And that spot is too big. Let's see, let's maybe even start them this game. You're down 0-1 in the series. Hey, let's see what this looks like, and maybe slot LeBron at the 3 for a game and just kind of experiment and see it. It's like, oh, okay, here we go. This actually works, right? And kind of gives you the ability to continue to play that chess match, right? Okay, let's do this. Let's try this. Let's look at this. Let's go like this. And then you gain all that data to where now you can make those educated lineups and rotations and whatnot come playoff time. So, but to me, I think Maxi Kleber, out of anybody, right, unless Jaxson Hayes, 3-point shooting translates to where he's 40% from 3-point range, something like that, I think Maxi Kleber is probably going to be the real opportunity, the real guy that is going to be key to unlocking those two big lineups. So I really kind of just wanted to focus more on Maxi Kleber because we didn't really get to see him with the Lakers. So we don't know, we've seen him with Luka and he's been good with Luka. He's not been oh my God, great with Luka, but he's been good with Luka. But now he has LeBron James, who really likes that outlet, that kick out, especially if he's in the weak side corner and LeBron's driving to the basket and got that kick out to a Maxi Kleber. You start to give different looks and perspectives for this team. I do think that could be very beneficial for the Lakers. And again, just kind of, we'll see. What does he look like with Austin Reeves? How do you build that chemistry? How does he build it with LeBron, Luka, stuff like that? You got a lot of playmakers on this team, that are going to be looking for that kick out and looking for, Kleber to be able to run that pick and pop and do all those various things for this team. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.